Howdy ho, neighbors. So, here's the thing. Let me move this a little closer. There we go. Hey, how you doing? So, here's the thing. If I'm gonna have people watching my stuff, you should know, what kind of stuff I do, you know? So, here's my main thing. I got a lot of passions in life, a lot of hobbies. I'm trying to do a Let's Play channel. That'll never happen. It had more subscribers than this one. It no longer does. Oh, by the way, I'm wearing a different shirt, so I'm not filming this immediately after I filmed the last video I uploaded. That's not what's happening. I'm not literally waiting 5 minutes and then putting on a shirt to create the illusion of time passing. Ignore the fact that everything else is identical. Here, look, oh, the painting is, ooh, it's in a different position than last time. Ooh, and this lamp, oh, that's so different than last time. Look at that. Time has passed. I don't like it. I don't, it's wrong. It's incorrect. There we go. So that was the remote to my TV. That's gone forever. What I'm getting at is I'm a writer. Surprise! I'm a writer. And I want to read you guys, maybe at some point, I say you guys as if anybody's watching this. I gotta set realistic expectations. I expect at most 10 people to see this, and then those 10 people to watch a minute of this. And we're at 2 minutes, baby. So if you're still here, what's up? One singular guy who is still watching this video, yo. What's popping? Dab. And also, dab. Moving along. I'm going to read you 2 short stories of mine. They are both spooky, but they're not horror. They're just horror, like lowercase. So shut the fuck up. So let's go. This first one is the very first one that I wrote when I started writing these short stories. So if you don't like it, it's cool. I only kind of like it. So we can kind of agree. I'm going to yawn real quick because it's definitely not 4 in the morning. Moving along. How does this sound? Does this sound alright? You're walking alone. It's dark, and there isn't anybody around you. It's a foggy night. Is there something behind you? No, there couldn't be. It's 1:30 in the morning. But why is it you hear something behind you? It could have been the wind. But wouldn't you have felt that? It could have been an animal knocking something over. But is the animal still there? You want to look behind you, but you're scared of what you'll see. Scared that it isn't an animal. Scared it's a man, waiting for you to notice him only for him to strike. Scared that it might be a creature from the darkest depths of your nightmares. Thinking all these things, you start to pick up the pace. Start to worry that whatever might hypothetically be behind you is frustrated that you're moving faster, but then you hear something else behind you. Closer this time. Closer than it should be. Is this paranoia? Maybe. Maybe you're so scared you're hearing things. Hearing something that initially scared you and led you down this path of fright. All you want is to reach an area of town with lights. Maybe the main road. If there are lights, it's more likely there will be cars. And if anybody saw something, they would stop, right? They would help? You can't be sure. While crossing the road, you make sure to go diagonally so you don't see behind you. Now, the longer you worry about what you'll see, the more frightened of what will be there you are. You pick up the pace even more just to make it to the sidewalk, and you trip on the curb, on the ground you don't know, on a road you shouldn't be on, and you feel the heat behind your neck. Is this more paranoia? Maybe your body is in such a frenzy, it's worked up a fright or flight response. You're scared to stand. You've been on the ground for long enough for whatever you could have been outpacing to have caught up. As you stand, you realize you hit the ground hard. It hurts. You hurt. Your breathing has gotten sporadic now. In danger of hyperventilating, you start to walk and suddenly you stop. Something stops you. And as you see the light of the road, it all goes black. You shouldn't have walked down this road, and now you aren't sure if you'll be fine to regret it. You fall, and it's all over. So that's my first one. Now I do have other ones, but they're better read. It's better to read the other ones. So we're skipping right along to story number 2, but first I'm gonna yawn again. I didn't mute it that time. That's really rude of me. I'm sorry. I'm going to wait for all of you who started yawning to finish yawning. Moving along. I'm going to take a swig of water. And I'm almost going to hit my fucking microphone in the process because I moved it closer and did not account for the fact that I'm going to take a swig of water really aggressively. Okay. You wake up in a prison cell. Not all of these are first person. Or second person, I guess. Some of them aren't, but the 2 that I want to read are. This one's a little bit longer. You wake up in a prison cell. The cell door is open. You walk through wondering what happened. You don't remember anything before the cell, but you know that you had a life. You remember your name, and maybe the names of some friends. Dave, Eric, Agnes, and maybe another. What was their name? Where are they? Where are you? The prison is empty. No guards, no prisoners, no windows. The only locked doors are the ones that lead to areas for guards. As far as you can see, there aren't any. You could see the clock in some of the rooms. It's 4 p.m. Having explored the entire prison, there isn't anything. You return to your cell, and something is different. There's a clock on the wall. 6 p.m. A tray of food is in your cell. But more importantly, you hear footsteps. Someone is here. And from the sounds of the walking, they might be injured. It sounded staggered. Almost like one of the feet was dragging. But you can't see them anywhere. You can find the area where the sound is coming from, but you can't see anything. You aren't running into anything. They seem to be walking to the room where you speak to guests. You hear a voice coming from the phone. Hello? 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 It says in a repeating voice. You pick up the phone. You can't hear the footsteps anymore. Who is this? You ask in a shaky voice. You don't know why, but you are terrified. This is the most scared you've been in your entire life. You don't recognize us? Us? You feel a hand on your shoulder. You know someone is there, but you can't look. You can't explain it, but you know that if you see their face, something terrible will happen. You can only see the hand out of the corner of your eye. It doesn't make sense, but the hand gripping your shoulder is yours. Please, just tell me what's happening. You start to cry, begging them for answers. Your shoulder starts to hurt, the hand gripping it tighter and tighter. The nails on the hand are chipping and breaking under the pressure as they start to dig into your skin. We just want to keep you safe, the voice says. Why don't you go back to your room and enjoy your dinner? The hand isn't there anymore. The voice goes away. Your shoulder hurts worse than ever before and starts throbbing in pain. With nothing left to do, you start to head back to your cell. You hear the footsteps behind you, one foot dragging, same as before, except this time you can't look back. You know that if you do, you'll be in trouble. You know that if you turn around and see what's behind you, everything will get worse. You arrive at your cell. There's a phone in there now, with a lamp and a nightstand. You walk into the room and you hear the voice behind you say, "Lights out. Good night." It was the same voice as over the phone, but it sounded raspier, like they hadn't drank water in years. The cell door slams shut behind you. The clock falls from the wall from the force of the door slamming shut. You turn around to see if you can see the door and only see a wall with a window. You look through the window and are met with your own face staring back at you. You step back in horror, but the face doesn't move. They watch you as you move around your cell. You try to scream, but nothing comes out, not even a whisper. You desperately try to say something, anything, but you can't speak a word. You want to cry out for your friends, but you can't remember their names, their faces, or anything. You can't remember anything from before the cell, but what you do know is you haven't always been here. So those are the two I wanted to share with you. Let me talk about those a little bit. If you just want the mystery and illusion of what the stories could be about, goodbye. Bye-bye. Because I'm going to talk about that. Skip to next chapter. Because I just figured out how to do chapters like fucking 15 minutes ago. Like 3 minutes and 20 seconds before I started recording this video. So, first one. The whole idea is it is literally just about paranoia. Like working yourself up in a frenzy so badly that you collapse. It's not hard to figure out. I literally say paranoia like 4 times in that story. It's not fucking rocket surgery. The second one, I talked to several of my friends about their experiences in rehab. And some of them had great experiences. No issues at all. But a few of my friends were forced to go to rehab clinics. And they told me that it felt a lot like a prison. And one of the people that I talked to, not necessarily my friend, just a person that I spoke with. Oh, fuck, I'm gonna yawn. My jaw opens like I'm a fucking anaconda, dude. Oh, it hurts. Man, I got heartburn right now because I'm a 45-year-old, 25-year-old. Oof. Anyways, so my whole idea is to take what these people, and that one person said, and twist it into a horror story, right? Because when you're forced to go somewhere that is trying to actively change what you view to be a fundamental part of your life, it already feels like a horror story. Now, a lot of people go to rehab for great reasons. Genuinely not anti-rehab. Crazy, right? But the one person I spoke to, I'm like, ooh, for you, it was a real horror story. Because they're a fucking narcissist. Self-diagnosed. Like, they tell me that they're a narcissist. They're aware of it. And the way they described it, it was almost like there was no one else who was there. The only time they ever interacted with anybody is when they got food, when the guards yelled at them for acting up, and when they spoke to their family or the fucking rehab people. That's it. Their story got more detailed as they went on, like they were remembering things. And so I took like their experience and I wanted to make a horror story about that. And that's why it's like, oh, you notice a clock and now there's a clock in your room. It was there the whole time, but you weren't paying attention. You don't see anyone else around. That's because, you know, this is from the point of view of someone who's very narcissistic. They aren't paying attention to anyone else who's around. So that's the basic idea. It's not like great. It's okay. I like the story. I've done better. Horror is one of those genres that it's really hard for me to do. You know, I'm okay at horror in the D&D setting. Hi, I play D&D. I have a third channel. But don't go there. Just don't look for it. I mean, you won't find it, but don't look for it. But I'm good at horror when it's interactive. You know, I want to make a horror video game at some point. I have some ideas for that. I want to make a video game in general. That'd be fun. But horror as just writing, really hard. Because everyone finds different shit scary. Everybody. And it's not something that is... So, like, when you think of horror as a genre, you know, there is a lot. It is a wide breadth of shit. You think of action movies, and you're like, oh, yeah, here's some quintessential action movies. If you like action, you'll like these. Real easy translation. Oh, you like romance movies? Check out these romance movies, baby. Really easy translations for most of the genres. There are two tricky ones. Well, three. Two of them are because of setting. Sci-fi and fantasy. Those ones, you might like some, you might not like others, based on how they do the setting. The fucking Earthsea movie by Studio Ghibli, awful fantasy movie. Because they're adapting like 9 books or whatever into one bad movie. Aragon, the movie, bad fantasy. Then you look at Lord of the Rings, fucking good fantasy. Really good, tasty fantasy. Right? You look at science fiction, wide breadth of shit, you have no idea what you're going to get. It is a fucking mixed bag with science fiction. You're going to get a really boring space cruise with fucking... What's his dick? Velociraptor Tamer and Star-Lord? Chris Pratt. I almost said Chris Pine like 5 times. I just didn't want to say that because that's not his fucking name. I know that's not his name. Anyways. Him, or you're gonna get a fucking thrilling, like, fantastic science fiction movie that is hard to understand on your first watch, like the fuck Interstellar. You know, incredible science fiction movie. Are you gonna get the fucking show The Expanse, which is incredibly well written? And yeah, it's based on a book, also well written, but book to movie, book to show, not always a 1-to-1, not always a good translation. It depends not only on whether or not it is suitable for translation. I'm losing it. I'm drifting. What I'm getting at is horror. That's a genre where you can't just say, oh, if you like horror, you'll love these. I mean, you can, but you'll be wrong. You have to know what kind of horror someone likes. If someone says, oh, I love horror movies. Okay, what kind? Because if their response is, oh, I love Saw, and I love, like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you know, that kind of shit. And you're like, okay, gotcha. I get what kind. You like slashers. And, like, well, Saw isn't a slasher, but it's torture porn kind of shit. So you might go like, okay, you like those. Check out Friday the 13th. It's a classic. Check out Halloween. It's a classic for a reason. You know? But you wouldn't go to someone who was like, yeah, I love Friday the 13th. I love Halloween. I love horror movies. And you're like, awesome. Check out the fucking Babadook. Do you want to watch a really depressing movie for 2 hours about a mom slowly losing her mind and then she kills her dog, spoilers for the Babadook, and almost kills her son, spoilers for the Babadook, and then they feed the monster worms, spoilers for the Babadook? It's that's not something you would just recommend to somebody who is like, yeah, man, my favorite horror movie? Oh, fucking Wishmaster. Wish granted. Like, yeah, man, the movie's super fun as hell. You know what it isn't? Anywhere near the Babadook. And like here's the Babadook, and then Midsommar, or Hereditary. Wildly different. Yeah, and yeah, someone who liked the Babadook might like those, but also really might not like those. Horror is a really hard genre, is my point. That's what I'm trying to get at. And it's something that I love to death. I like almost all kinds of horror, There's a lot of things that don't need to be in horror movies. And whenever they are, like, you're following your artistic vision or whatever. But let me just give you an example. Here's something that's not in any horror movie because it improves the plot. And that's sex. Sex can work in movies. Absolutely. I'm asexual, my dude. I don't like watching sex in movies, but sometimes it serves a plot. Absolutely. It has a point sometimes. And sometimes, no. it don't. It just don't. Sometimes you fucking watch a horror movie and there's two characters who are just like, oh, Billy Braxton, you're so hot and fuckable. And he looks and he's like, they call me the cherry popper because I just... And you're like, what's happening? What? We're cutting to this like 5 minutes after I just watched a man be disemboweled. Am I supposed to watch that and then go, sex? Ooh. What's the point here? Or, you watch that and you're like, they're gonna die. But there's a lot of things you can do in a horror movie to communicate to the audience these people are gonna die other than fucking. Because, first off, if you want to do fucking, it's always the same thing in almost every horror movie, with very few exceptions. It's super hot, slutty woman and guy. That one's flexible, but it's always a dude. It's always straight sex. Can't have no gays in my horror movie unless they die first. And that's why all my movies are made in Texas. It's fucking stupid, man. I'm going on a rant. Nobody's gonna watch this. They're like, wow, I really love your fucking upload of other people's content for Dropout. Wow, that shit was great. What's your other thing? Oh, a 23.5-minute long video of you just talking about horror stuff, and like 5 of those minutes were things that you made, and the rest was all just nonsense. Yo, what's up? Welcome to my channel. That's why I called it Whatever I Feel Like, because I'm gonna upload whatever I fucking feel like. Now, here's the thing. I said it was 23.5 minutes long. That's actually not true. The actual length of this video is 24 minutes and 10 seconds.